Wandambi Bante and brother and sister, welcome to the lesson 21 on beautiful mental factors. So I am Tham, I'm the meeting host today who will be helping Bante and everyone. May we invite Bante to start the teaching, please. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Okay, let's start our today's Abhidhamma study, reciting Namo Tassa 3 times. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Okay, welcome to Abhidhamma class, lesson 21. And that we are going to talk about the beautiful mental factors. In Pali, they are called Sobhana Cetasika. So among the 52 mental factors, we already studied 2 groups. The first group is behavioral factors. They are called Anya Samana in Pali. And second group, Akusala Cetasika, unwholesome mental factors. Unwholesome mental factors. And last week we have finished that group. Yeah, today is time to come to study about the beautiful mental factors. They are called the Sobhana Cetasika in Pali. Sobhana Cetasika, Sobhana is beautiful. Then you may remember we have studied about the Sobhana Citta in first chapter of the chapter of consciousness. So there, when we learn about the consciousness, the first group, unwholesome consciousness, and second group, rootless consciousness. Unwholesome consciousness and rootless consciousness are collectively called asobhana, non-beautiful. Then the other consciousness, starting from the sense-pure beautiful consciousness, are called sobhana. So as we have mentioned about that, consciousness has the only characteristic of knowing the object. So we cannot say it alone whether it is beautiful or not. It is wholesome or unwholesome. If consciousness comes alone. But consciousness never arises separately from mental factors. It always comes with mental factors. That is why by seeing the types of the mental factors, we can classify consciousness in their type. It is wholesome or unwholesome, beautiful or non-beautiful in that way. So the reason why the consciousness can become the beautiful, so sobhana citta, is because that consciousness comes with the sobhana cetasika, the beautiful mental factors. So now we are going to study about the beautiful mental factors, sobhana cetasika. There are 25 beautiful mental factors. They can be divided into 4 groups. And the first group is the sobhana sadharana cetasika. So sobhana sadharana cetasika, Then, as we have said, the word sararana refers to the universal, the meaning of universal related to the a specific area. So, if we say the sabha citta sararana, so that is universal to all consciousness. When we say akusala sararana, it refers to the mental factors universal to unwholesome. So unwholesome universal. Then nam, sobhana sararana. So this is universal to beautiful feathers because the sobhana is beautiful. That's why the first group is the sobhana sararana, that is universal, beautiful feather. So it occurs in all 59 or 91. So among the 89 consciousness, there are 59 beautiful consciousness, except the 30 non-beautiful are sobhana, unwholesome and rootless. And among the 121, there are 91 beautiful consciousness. So the 19 consciousness arise with the all beautiful consciousness, 59 or 91. Then second group is Virati Cetasika. Abstinence. Virati is translated as abstinence. That we will focus on the name and meaning, why they get this name. So later we will explain about that, how they get this name. So in this slide, we are going to focus on the nature. So the first group, as the name of sobhana sararana, that group occurs in all types of beautiful consciousness. And the second group, abstinence, they occur in 8 wholesome sense pure, and that is for mundane. So only 8 in mundane consciousness. Among the 81 mundane consciousness, lokiya citta, only 8 wholesome. The virati can arise with only 8 wholesome. And 8 supramundane consciousness. So altogether, 16 consciousness. So with the 16 consciousness, the abstinence or virati cetasika can arise. Then the third group, Appamanya Cetasika, the illimitables, mental factors, they occur in 28 citta. So what are the 28? They're the same as the wholesome, the great wholesome, the same as the virati. Yeah, great wholesome. But here, the great functional. So the sense pure functional consciousness, there are 8 great functional consciousness in the beautiful group. So, and 12 sublime consciousness of first 4 jhana. So you may remember in the classification of jhana according to the jhana. So first jhana 3, second jhana 3, third jhana 3, and fourth jhana 3. So altogether there are 12 sublime consciousness in 4 jhana, form of 4 jhana. So in this way, 28 consciousness, the illimitable mental factors can arise with 28 consciousness. Then the last one, that is only one. So Paññādhikālaṅkāra, the wisdom faculty, that can occur in 47 consciousness associated with knowledge. So we can say the jnana sampayutta, that the consciousness associated with knowledge, because the knowledge and wisdom are synonym in this Abhidhamma study. That's why the wisdom faculty can arise with the consciousness, those associated with knowledge. Jnana sampayutta citta. So in this way, although the 25 consciousness are the same in the nature of beautiful, so they all are beautiful mental factors, but they can be classified into 4 groups according to their respective nature and their associated consciousness. Their consciousness, they arise together. So this is the 4 group of beautiful mental factors. Then keeping in the mind this information, and we will continue and we will classify one after another for these 4 groups. So the first group, universal, and second, abstinence, third, illimitable, and wisdom faculty. Okay, then the first group can also divided into, here also subdivided into 3, but here these 2 groups are not how to say, not much difference. So they come in separate way. In this, all factors come in single, but here 1 to 7, they come separately, and 8 to 19, all together 12 mental factors will come in pairs. So firstly, we need to learn the translation and to keep in the mind according to their group. So saddha, faith, or confidence. So faith and confidence are the translation for saddha. And sati, mindfulness. Hiri and ottappa come together. So hiri, shame of wrongdoing, and ottappa is fear of wrongdoing. We already see the opposite of these 2 in the unwholesome mental factors. They are ahirika and anuttappa. Then number 5 is the lobha, alobha. Alobha is non-greed, adosa, non-hatred. So these 2 also we already find in the unwholesome mental factors, lobha and dosa. Lobha is greed and dosa is hatred. So not difficult to remember these 7: saddha, sati, hiri, ottappa, alobha, adosa, and the last one, tattara, majhatata. That is neutrality of mind. Neutrality of mind. We already learned in the Untitled chapter as the upekha, but that will be different. So neutrality of mind is tattara, majhatata. So as a second part of the universal beautiful factors, they come in pairs. So there are 6 pairs for 12 mental factors. So not difficult. Here you see the kaya pasati, and the number 9 is chitta pasati. So just need to remember the word pasati, which can be translated as tranquility. So as the kaya here refers to mental body, not physical body. So kaya refers to mental body because the word kaya can be understood as the mental factor, mental bodies, namakaya, and physical body, rupakaya. So here, the word kaya refers to mental body. That is why the tranquility of mental body is kaya pasati. And chitta is consciousness. That's why the chitta pasati is tranquility of the consciousness. In this way, the 6 pair will come. The former columns, the first column will come with the mental bodies, and second column will come about the consciousness, kaya and chitta. So tranquility group, tranquility pairs. So the tranquility of mental body and tranquility of consciousness, they are the kaya pasati and chitta pasati. So 10 and 11, lightness of the mental body and lightness of the consciousness. So here kaya is the same, and lahuta, the Pali word lahuta is lightness. So the lightness of the mental body, lightness of the consciousness, 2 pairs. Then kaya mudita and chitta mudita. So here mudita, malleability of mental body. That is, in other words, that is called the softness. Yeah, mudita. It should be like the word mudita. So malleability of mental body and malleability of the consciousness, the chitta mudita. Then kaya kamanyata. Kaya kamanyata, worthiness of the mental bodies and worthiness of consciousness. So the word kamanyata, that kamanyata is kamanya refers to you can do whatever by that situation. That is called the kamanya. So that is worthiness. In the other word, we can say that is the capability. Capability you can use, or so here the mental body, your mental body is ready for the use of the goodness. So not here, because this is the beautiful mental petals. This is not related to the wrongdoings, unwholesome things. So kaya kamanyata is the being ready to use in the good deed. That is called the kaya kamanyata. So that is worthiness. Then chitta kamanyata, the consciousness is ready. But just to know that these are the nature of the reality. The nature of reality, we just need to learn at the beginning. We should try to understand their nature, because the reality, putting aside their characteristic and their nature, we cannot find any other realities. By seeing their nature and characteristic, we can understand the reality. That is why if we think in proper way in our study, that get confused, that make you to get confused. So here, the kaya kamanyata and chitta kamanyata, the worthiness of the mental bodies and worthiness of the consciousness. Then next pairs, the kaya pagunyata, that is translated as the proficiency. So this is the proficiency pair, the proficiency of mental body and proficiency of consciousness. And kayu jukata and chittu jukata, the last pairs, the rectitude of mental body and rectitude of consciousness. So this is also can understand in other way, that is uprightness. So later we will study one after another to understand their nature. So now, according to the classification, so 19 beautiful, universal beautiful feathers can be divided into 3, or in other words, it can be said that 2. The 1 to 7 come separately as a single items, and 8 to 19 come in pairs. So there are 6 pairs. In this way, you can learn them easily. Otherwise, not easy to memorize, because the Pali word and their nature, the study together is not quite easy. That is why we need to find the proper way of study. Then, so for the second group of the beautiful mental feathers, 3 mental feathers are called virati in Pali, virati cetasika, and in English translation, that is abstinence. So abstain from wrongdoing. So here, the 3 mental feathers are samma vaca, right speech, samma kammanta, right action, Sama Ajiva, right livelihood. You already know them among the Noble Eightfold Paths. So among the Noble Eightfold Paths, they are working as a Sila group. So Sama Deity, Sama Sankappa, Panya group, and Sama Vaca, Sama Kamanda, Sama Ajiva, these are the Viddhati Cetasika in Noble Eightfold Path. So these three are Viddhati Cetasika. And then another group, Abhidhamma. These are illimitable, 2 in numbers. So illimitable is no limit. It has no limit. So why they are illimitable, we will learn. But now, just focus on the name, Karuna and Mudita. Very good words. So Karuna is compassion and Mudita is appreciative joy. Try to remember in both sides of Pali and English. So Karuna, Mudita. Karuna is compassion and Mudita appreciative joy. Then the last one is Paññādhikālaṅkāra. Paññādhikālaṅkāra Cetasika, Paññā and Indriya. Paññā is wisdom and Indriya is faculty. So Paññā, Indriya, that is the last mental fetters of 25 beautiful fetters. So Paññādhikālaṅkāra is same as non-delusion. You already know amoha as a roots, beautiful roots of the 6 roots. So these are 25 mental fetters according to their respective group. Okay, let's see in detail to learn about the beautiful mental fetters one after another. So here, the first one is saddha, faith or confidence. So let's see the characteristic of the saddha is the pleasant faith or trusting. Compared to the god or a balloon, so not floating. So the sati is a god. A god. So like we said that the sati as a god, it allowed or it does not allow like this. So in this way, we have to understand the nature of mindfulness. Mindfulness is not remembering in this case. The mental fetters of mindfulness is attentiveness to the present objects or the making consciousness present to the objects. That is sati. Especially this, because this sati is included under the universal beautiful fetters. So this must be related to the affairs of the wholesome or wholesome. Otherwise, if someone make, the consciousness is present at the time of the unwholesome case, there is no sati. There is no sati. So you have to note that the sati always related to the beautiful consciousness. That's why it comes with a beautiful case. So good things. That is sati. Then number 3 and 4, shame of wrongdoing and fear of wrongdoings. So these are the opposite of the ahirika and anuttapa in unwholesome group. So the hiri, shame or wrongdoing, is the disgust at bodily and verbal misconduct. So here now refers to the mental, because the ahirika and anuttapa also emphasize on the bodily and verbal wrongdoings. So, and Ottapa fears also, fear of wrongdoings refers to the bodily and verbal misconducts. So because these are related to the something appear as an action or bodily or verbal conducts. So they are the guardians of the world, Lokapala Dhamma. So the opposite word, that they can destroy the world. The Ahirika and Anuttapa as a cause of the unwholesome. Then Aloba. Aloba is translated as non-greed. So non-greed, not the mere absence of greed. So if we say the non-greed, sometimes we can misunderstand it is the absence of the greed, loba. But actually, it is not only the absence of the greed, because if it is only the absence of the greed, that is just concept, not reality. Because this aloba is one of the reality which include under the beautiful feathers, that is not only the absence. So it is the presence of positive virtue, such as generosity or renunciation. So the positive virtues which contrary to loba, greed, is the aloba. So it can be in various form, but that must be the reality, not just the absence. So it mentioned that not the mere absence of greed, it is one of the realities. Then the characteristic is the mind's lack of desire for its object. So the opposite one, the greed, is strong desire to keep or to cling. That is loba. That is why there's a lack of desire for its object. It means this is separate reality. It has the nature of lack of desire for the object to make one's own property. So is non-adherence to the object. Here the example is given that a drop of water on the lotus leaf. So when the drop of water go down to the lotus leaf, it cannot be stuck. So not being stuck on the object is the nature of aloba. In the other way, it is the work of aloba, non-grief. If non-grief is there, it will not be stuck in the object. So stuck means the desire to make one's own property. Then another one is adosa, so non-hatred. This also opposite of the dosa, hatred, but in the same way, it is not just the mere absence of hatred, because it also one of the reality. So the positive virtue as loving kindness, gentleness, amity, and friendliness, etc., are the nature of non-hatred. So it is not just the absence of hatred, not just the absence of anger. It has the positive nature. That is why this is one of the reality. And characteristic is lack of ferocity or non-opposite. So by the power of adosa, non-hatred, so we can make friends easily. Otherwise, it is trying to oppose to each other. So this is the characteristic of adosa. And in this case, not all non-hatred is loving kindness. So if we talk about what is loving kindness? So loving kindness is in the essence of reality, it is non-hatred. But non-hatred of adosa has another positive virtues or another value, gentleness, etc. So not all non-hatred is loving kindness, but loving kindness is non-hatred. Because the non-hatred or adosa has a larger range than loving kindness. So loving kindness is one of the functions of the adosa. So the loving kindness is adosa, but when it comes to the sublime quality of loving kindness, metta, the characteristic change. So the characteristic of the metta is promoting the welfare of living being. So the name of metta is the level of the non-hatred, which is promoting the welfare of living beings, welfare of all living beings. So that is called the one of the sublime quality, that is loving kindness, metta. So when someone practices the loving kindness meditation, he has to be careful not to catch us by the near enemies. So the far enemy is very clear. So cruelty, that is, or hatred, that is the opposite of the dosa or loving kindness. That's why it is very easy to know. But near enemy is not easy to know, not easy to recognize. That's why we have to be careful. So the selfish affection is near enemy of the loving kindness. By practicing loving kindness, metta meditation, one can be caught by the selfish affection. For example, we love each other as a family members or parents to their children to their parents. They love each other, but sometimes they misunderstand that is real loving kindness, but that is not metta. That is a kind of attachment, which is the form of the selfish affection, because they are relating to ourselves. So we love. That is a kind of affection, not loving kindness. So it is very difficult to recognize when the loving kindness changes to the affection. So related to the families or the region or country or like this. So when we practice the loving kindness, we need to know what is near enemy. Then the tatra machadata. So the literal meaning is there in the middleness. So there is the mental fetters, among the mental fetters. So it stands, the tatra machadata, this mental fetters of neutrality of mind. This stand in the middle. So the middleness of mind, middleness of the mentalities, that is one of the reality. It is the work of the one of the reality. So this also synonym for the equanimity, upekha, but not as a neutral feeling. So in the consciousness study, we know one of the feeling is neutral feeling, upekha vedana, but the usage is same. Here, the tatra machadata is upekha in the sublime quality. So there are 4 sublime qualities. Here, in this case, the tatra machadata, because there is no upekha cetasika, the nature of upekha appear in the tatra machadata. That's why and tatra machadata refers to the upekha sublime quality. Abhidhamma. Then, but upekha vedana is different because it is feeling, but this is not a feeling. As you know, feeling is the universal mental fetter, one of the universal mental fetters. Here, tatra machadata is one of the beautiful mental factors. That is one, that is the difference. But they have very similar nature. So in the being neutral, so neutral feeling and the mental factors of neutrality of mind. Why it is recognized as the neutrality of mind, as that mental factor attitude of balance, keep the attitude of balance, detachment, impartiality. So keeping these qualities, these mental factors or Tatra Majadata is understand in their nature. So the characteristic is the comparing. So here, comparing evenly. So comparing what? Comparing consciousness and mental factor evenly or equally. Not giving the priority on that or not standing on any side. So comparing consciousness and mental factor evenly. That is called Tatra Majadata. So as we said, this is the synonym for equanimity upeka. When it becomes the sublime quality of equanimity, so here also towards living beings. So sublime qualities are developed related to the living beings. So here, our dosa, as a metta, loving kindness, it is towards the welfare of all living beings. Here also equanimity towards living being. So equanimity towards living being. We can practice this Tatra Majadata to the level of equanimity of sublime quality. When we practice that, we have to be careful about the near enemy of Tatra Majadata, that is the worldly minded indifference. So sometimes, not because of this Tatra Majadata Cetasika, there can be the nature, the mental condition of indifference. That is not because of the Tatra Majadata is powerful to the level of sublime quality. That is a worldly minded indifference due to ignorance. So by the power of ignorance, we also can ignore. Sometimes we misunderstand, I don't have the priority on someone, or I don't stand on someone. My mind is not standing on any side. That is equanimity. But this is not the equanimity. That is the work of ignorance. So that is near enemy. So when we practice, we have to be careful about that. Okay, so it comes 6 pairs. The first pair, the tranquility pairs. The characteristic is the quieting down of disturbance or directa. So the opposite nature can make hidden the mental factors and consciousness. It can disrupt. So the disturbance in the disturbance can be low down by these pairs of tranquility. So tranquility of mental body and tranquility of consciousness. So tranquility of mental body, it quiet down the disturbance in the mental body, and the tranquility in the consciousness, it quiet down the disturbance in consciousness in this way. Both work together. Because the consciousness and mind, consciousness and mental factor, they always come together. That is why these two also seem working together. That is why although the mental factor or saddha, sati, etc. come separately, in this case, the kaya pasati and siddha pasati comes in pairs because they seem working together. One is working on the mental factor, the other is working on the consciousness. So for the tranquility pairs, they are as opposed to the restlessness and worry. So, Udacha, Kukucha. These are the pairs of the mental hindrances. So, the tranquility is the opposite of restlessness and worries. So when restlessness and worries are in the mind, they create distress. But the Kaya Pasati and Chitta Pasati, the tranquility pairs, cool down, quiet down that distraction. So that is why they are the opposite of the restlessness and worry. Then another group, Kaya Lahuta and Chitta Lahuta, they are lightness. So the pairs of lightness. The characteristics is subsiding of heaviness. So the opposite is heaviness. So group bhava. When the mental fetters and consciousness come to become heavy, so cannot, when our body is filled under the situation of heaviness, so we cannot we cannot make any action easily. In the same way, so when the mental body and consciousness are under the heaviness, the nature of heaviness, our mind is not ready to do it. That is why as a beautiful mental fetters, the lightness of the mental body and lightness of the consciousness, they subside the heaviness of the mentality. That is why they are opposite of the sloth and torpor. So that is tina and metta. They create heaviness. As the opposite, they create lightness. They has the nature of lightness. So as now you see, the unwholesome mental fetters and beautiful mental fetters are opposite of each other. So in order to remove the unwholesome nature, we need to keep the beautiful nature in our mentality process, the process of mentality. Then the third pairs, malleabilities, this the believer Sarah Usilananda Biwansa prefers the softness. So softness of the mental bodies and the softness of the consciousness. That has the characteristic of subsiding of the rigidity. Tamba is not easy to use. So here mudita, softness. So malleability and softness. So they are opposite to the round view and conceit. They can create the rigidity. So the round view and conceit mana, deity and mana. When the deity and mana are present in our mind become rigid. So they create rigidity. So as the opposite beautiful mental fetters of the round view and conceit, the kaya mududa and chitta mududa, they subset the rigidity of the mentality. Then the fourth pairs, wilderness of the mental body and wilderness of the consciousness. So they also substitute the unwilderness, the opposite things. But here in this case, the opposite unwholesome are the remaining mental hindrances, which can create unwilderness. So many other unwholesome mental fetters, they can create the unwilderness. They are the opposite of the kaya kamanyata and chitta kamanyata. And kaya pagunyata and chitta pagunyata, they are the proficiency of mental body and proficiency of mind, consciousness. So here the proficiency, you can understand it is healthiness. So being healthy of the mental body and being healthy of the consciousness. That is Kaya Kamanyata, Akaya Pakunyata, and Chitta Pakunyata. It has the easy access because it is healthy. Then here, that is the opposite of the unhealthiness. So lack of faith, etc. So faith, mindfulness, and concentration, lack of this mental quality are seen as the unhealthiness of the mentality. So that is why this pair of the Kaya Pagunyada and Chitta Pagunyada, the proficiency pairs, can remove that unhealthiness. So they are the opposite, the lack of the faith, etc., the good quality. Then when they are present in our mind, the Kaya Pagunyada and Chitta Pagunyada, we can consider our mind is being healthy. Our mind is being healthy. So to be healthy in mentality, we have to keep these pairs in our mind. Then Kaya Jukata and Chittu Jukata, Kaya and Ujukata. So Chitta Ujukata, they are rectitude. So rectitude also can understand uprightness. So it has the nature of uprightness of mental body and consciousness. So they are opposite to the hypocrisy and fraudulence, etc. So they make the crookedness. So be making the upright. So the opposite of the crookedness. These 19s are basics, beautiful mental fetters. So they arise with every beautiful consciousness. So 7 in separate way and 12 in 6 pair. So you have to review again and again so that you remember their quality whenever you hear the name of the beautiful mental fetters. You can the meaning must come with that name in your mind. So as the second group of the beautiful mental fetters, there are 3 vidati. So abstinence. So here vidati are called abstinence from wrong contacts by way of speech, action, and livelihood. That's why they are divided into three mental fetters. But they share the same nature, abstinence from wrong contacts. So here, the characteristic of non-transgression by body misconduct, by wrong speech, and by wrong livelihood. So here, non-transgression, wilderness of the mental body and wilderness of the consciousness. So they also substitute the unwilderness, the opposite things. But here in this case, the opposite, unwholesome, are the remaining mental hindrances, which can create unwilderness. So many other unwholesome mental fetters, they can create the unwilderness. They are the opposite of the Kaya Kamanyata and Chitta Kamanyata. And Kaya Pagunyata and Chitta Pagunyata, they are the proficiency of mental body and proficiency of mind, consciousness. So here the proficiency, you can understand it is healthiness. So being healthy of the mental body and being healthy of the consciousness. That is Kaya Kamanyata, Kaya Pagunyata and Chitta Pagunyata. It has the easy access because it is healthy. Then here, that is the opposite of the unhealthiness. So lack of faith, etc. So faith, mindfulness, and concentration, lack of this mental quality are seen as the unhealthiness of the mentality. So that is why this pair of the Kaya Pagunyada and Chitta Pagunyada, the proficiency pairs, can remove that unhealthiness. So they are the opposite, the lack of the faith, etc., the good quality. Then when they are present in our mind, the Kaya Pagunyada and Chitta Pagunyada, we can consider our mind is being healthy. Our mind is being healthy. So to be healthy in mentality, we have to keep these pairs in our mind. Then Kaya Jukata and Chittu Jukata, Kaya and Ujukata. So Chitta Ujukata, they are rectitude. So rectitude also can understand uprightness. So it has the nature of uprightness of mental body and consciousness. So they are opposite to the hypocrisy and fraudulence, etc. So they make the crookedness. So we making the upright. So the opposite of the crookedness. These 19s are basics, beautiful mental fetters. So they arise with every beautiful consciousness. So 7 in separate way and 12 in 6 pair. So you have to review again and again so that you remember their quality whenever you hear the name of the beautiful mental fetters. You can the meaning must come with that name in your mind. So as the second group of the beautiful mental fetters, there are 3 vidati. So abstinence. So here vidati are called abstinence from wrong contacts by way of speech, action, and livelihood. That's why they are divided into three mental fetters. But they share the same nature, abstinence from wrong contacts. So here, the characteristic of non-transgression by body misconduct, by wrong speech, and by wrong livelihood. So here, non-transgression is the characteristic. They share the same nature, but the abstinence from what will make them different. So the first one, samma vaca, right speech. If abstinence from wrong speech. So second one, samma kammanta, abstinence from wrong bodily action. They have the different abstinence, different aspect to abstain. Then the last one, samma ajiva, is from wrong livelihood. So they become 3 in this way. So here the definition is given: deliberate abstinence, not just abstinence. So when you are studying in the class or when you are doing something good, at that moment, you are not committing wrongdoing. You are not committing any unwholesome action, or you are not speaking any wrong speech. At that moment, you are doing good. So now you are listening about the Abhidhamma teaching. At that moment, you are not committing any, the false speech or slandering, harsh speech or frivolous talk. Although you are not committing, we cannot say that is vidati or abstinence, because that is not intentionally doing. intentionally abstaining. So here, to say that is viddati, that must be doing intentionally. That is why deliberate abstinence. The emphasis comes in this way. Deliberate abstinence. In all cases, that is the nature of the viddati. Sometimes that some people thinking, while I am sleeping, so while I am sleeping, I'm not committing anything wrong. I'm not doing anything wrong. That is why I am keeping precept. So they're trying to sleep more to extend the duration which escape from the wrongdoing. So it is not correct because that is not viddati. At that moment, you are sleeping. So viddati is deliberate abstinence. So abstaining intentionally, that is viddati. So from wrong speech, there are 4 wrong speech, we already studied that. And then deliberate abstaining from wrong bodily action. There are 3 wrong bodily action like killing, stealing, and sexual misconduct. So abstaining intentionally from these 3 wrong bodily actions is called the sammakamanta. That is sila, that is viddati. Then samma ajiva. So in combination of these former 2, samma vaca, samma kamanta, we can understand that is the abstinence of 7 unwholesome deeds. 7 unwholesome deeds. So here in this case, if 7 unwholesome deeds are related to the livelihood, the person's livelihood, then if the person intentionally abstain from these 7 wrongdoings or unwholesome deeds that relates to his livelihood, that is called samma ajiva. That is not only samma vaca and not only samma kamanta. When it comes to relation to the livelihood and the moment that person trying to abstain, not control himself not to commit, at that time the work is changed. The reality is the samma ajiva. This is right livelihood, not only samma vaca and samma kamanta. If these 7 wrongdoings are not related to the person's livelihood, it is the wrong speech. So abstinence from wrong speech is called only samma vaca. And abstinence from wrong bodily action is samma kamanta. But in the case when they are related to the livelihood and the abstinence is called the samma ajiva. So here it shows that the 5 tricks not to do as a Buddhist. The Buddhist people who are following the Buddha's teaching should not make this kind of 5 tricks. So dealing, poison, or visa, intoxicant. This is intoxication, any intoxication, alcohol, drug, etc. And weapon. Here sleep. Here sleep refers to the dealing human being for slavery. That is sleep. So then another one is dealing animals for slaughter. So dealing animal just to dealing is not a problem. But if someone is selling or making trade the animal for the slaughtering to make the food or etc., that is a kind of trade that Buddhist people should not do. So these are 3 viddati. Okay, so the nature of viddati are abstinent from wrongdoing. That is why it has the nature of wholesome. But not all wholesome are related to the viratti. So wholesome can be with viratti or with abstinence, 3 mental factors. Sometimes the wholesome can be without viratti. So when we are studying, we are not abstaining, but still we are doing wholesome. The wholesome consciousness are arising in our mind. Sometimes if you are offering something, so making donation, at that moment you are not abstaining from anything wrong, but you are performing good. That is wholesome consciousness and wholesome action is arising without viratti, without abstinence. So okay, here in the mundane consciousness, viratti are operated only on occasion, on an occasion when one intentionally refrain from wrong moods or conducts. So when intentionally refrain from wrong doings, that at that time viratti arise. Is other situation, in other situation of doing good or performing wholesome, at that time the viratti is absent. But in case of viratti arising in the supramundane, as I mentioned, that the viratti can arise 2 groups. One is this beautiful, wholesome, beautiful sense-sphere 8, and the others are 8 supramundane. So when this abstrainess, mental factors or viratti arise with the supramundane consciousness, lokuttara citta, they arise together. And also they always arise whenever the supramundane consciousness arises. They are not on occasion. They arise all the time in the supramundane citta. So we will talk about how the viratti arise in the next lesson. So here in this case, in case of the mundane level, viratti can be with or without, present or absent. It can be. In this way, we understand about the viratti or abstinence. Then here, the commentary mentioned the 3 types of viratti. So the first one, sampatta viratti, and samadhana viratti, samuccida viratti. So sampatta viratti is in natural abstinence. So natural abstinence, but natural abstinence on occasion. So when the occasion comes, he abstains. That is called the natural abstinence. Not taking precept, not because of taking precept, he just abstains, refrain from wrongdoing. That is called the sampatta viratti. When the opportunity arises to engage, he trying to refrain from wrongdoing. That is called sampatta viratti. This T should be double, so sampatta viratti. Then samadhana viratti, abstinence by undertaking precepts. The first one is not, even though he is not taking precept, he abstain. Then the second one, because he has undertaken to observe the precept, he abstain. That is called the samadhana viratti. 2 of them are mundane level. So with the mundane consciousness, so with the wholesome consciousness, 2 viratti arise. 2 kinds of viratti. So sampatta and samadhana. It just makes a difference that taking precept or not taking precept. And the last one, samuccida viratti, abstinence by eradication. So when the supramundane consciousness, especially supramundane path consciousness arise, that eradicates the defilements. So that is why the underlying tendency of the wrongdoings, they are defilements. They are eradicated by the samuccida viratti that arise at the moment of supramundane consciousness as a part of the Noble Eightfold Path. So when the viratti, the supramundane viratti works, they eradicate all the underlying nature of the wrongdoings. That is why there is supramundane virati. So virati can be mundane and supramundane. This is the explanation come in the commentary. Then, so here this Abhidhamma illimitable. Then two of them, the compassion is promoting about the others, about the removal of others' suffering. So when Abhidhamma, the compassion arises, it subsides the cruelty in the mind. And when it turns to, by practicing the compassion, the mental condition change to the sorrowful condition. So becomes sorrowful feeling under the influence of sorrow. That is the failure of the practice in the compassion, because that is we can say that is the close enemy of the compassion. So being compassionate on the other living beings who are suffering, who are under suffering. At the time, we can be compassionate. That is the beautiful condition. But when our mind becomes sorrowful, that is unwholesome condition. So beautiful condition can change to the unwholesome condition. At that time, the practice of the karuna, the compassion, is failed. Then the mudita, appreciated joy. The characteristic is gladness at the success of others. So mental factors, Isa and Machariya, at the present of these two unwholesome mental factors, Isa and Machariya, one cannot be glad on other people's success. So here the opposite is the mudita, appreciated joy. When one sees the success of other, he feels the gladness. Then success is when cause the aversion to subside. So when one see the success of other, when aversion arises, that is failure. And the gladness arises, that gladness reduce the aversion on the other success. At that time, the appreciative joy is practicing. So the fear, it produces the merriments, so cannot tolerance on the other's success. And so there are 4 illimitables Abhidhamma, but here only 2 are mentioned, because among the 4 Abhidhamma, Metta, Karuna, Mudita, and Upekkha, as we said, the Metta is equal to the adosa, non-hatred, and Upekkha is equal to the Tattara Majjhatata, the neutrality of mind. That's why these 2 are not mentioned as Paññādhikālaṅkāra, because this is the case where the mental factors are listed. So there are 4 Abhidhamma, illimitables or immeasurable, because they are to develop focusing on living beings, all living beings. So all living beings cannot make any limits. That is why they are illimitable. So the power also become illimitable following the object of living beings. Then in other words, they are also called Brahma Vihara, divine abode. Same. So Brahma Vihara 4. They are Metta, Karuna, Mudita, and Upekkha, or sublime states. Then here, loving kindness equal to the adosa, equanimity equal to the neutrality of mind. So when we count the Brahma Vihara or 4 Abhidhamma, we have to count in this way, 4 in number. But if we count the Abhidhamma Cetasika, we count only 2 of the compassion and appreciated joy. These are Abhidhamma. Okay, the last one is Paññādhikālaṅkāra, Paññā Cetasika, the wisdom faculty. That is Paññādhikālaṅkāra Cetasika. Paññā is wisdom and Indriya faculty. The wisdom faculty is knowing things as they really are. Sometimes the education gives only the perception, not penetrating. That is not wisdom. So wisdom is the knowing things as they really are, understanding, proper understanding. Then it is called the knowledge jnana and also non-delusion amoha. Then why it is used the word faculty other than using the word paññā? So paññā and indriya, paññādhikālaṅkāra. So here the word indriya is used because the wisdom exercise predominance in comprehending things as they really are. So when we know something according to their nature, it is not only the work of wisdom, paññā, but the other mental factors of the confidence, saddha, etc. also working together. But in case of penetrating or comprehending things according to their nature, the function of wisdom is predominance or is exceeding in that case. That is why the word paññā is used together with indriya, so paññādhikālaṅkāra. So same as the paññā. Then characteristic of the paññā is penetrating things according to their intrinsic nature. Yatha, sabhava, pativeda. So here have to be careful. Not every knowing or notice or understanding is paññā. So sometimes we understand about the nature related to the unwholesome deeds. So the soldier may know how to kill enemies. That understanding is not a paññā, because the paññā is beautiful mental factors and killing the mentalities or mental process arising in case of killing is not beautiful. It is unwholesome. That's why that is not a paññā. That is the skillfulness, just a skillfulness in unwholesome deeds. So this is the paññādhikālaṅkāra, the last one. So later we will discuss about the differences between the paññā, vijñāna, saññā, etc. So we need to compare the mental factors one to another's, because they have the very similar nature, and sometimes they are working together. For example, knowing something. So knowing something, understanding about something at that moment. So we say that consciousness have the nature to aware. So knowing the object has the consciousness make that one. And also, if we see something previously we have seen and we see again, so the saññā also working in the mind. If we penetrate, if we comprehend according to their intrinsic nature, the paññā also working. At the moment, they are working, but very in similar nature. That is why we can easily misunderstand. For the meditator who are practicing in the mentalities, so focusing on the mentality as his meditation object, he needs to know nature clearly to identify, otherwise he can misunderstand and get confused in their similar nature. So later we will discuss about their similar nature. Then, okay, so now we already discussed about the the 52 mental factors. So the finalizing the 25 beautiful mental factors in this lesson. Okay, now I'm going to stop here, my explanation. So we will continue to the Q&A session. Thank you for your understanding.
Okay, thank you, Bhante. Okay, the first question is, how do we practically differentiate between Tatra Majjhatthata, neutrality of mind, and cold and heartless? How do we ensure that we have equanimity towards one or some matters? Is it wholesome and not cold, heartless?
Okay, so this is a very difficult case. First of all, we need to try to identify their general nature. So here, Tatra Majjhatthata. So Tatra Majjhatthata as a beautiful mental factor, it works in beautiful way. Then cold and heartless. So that is, I think that caused by the nature of the lack of the kindness and compassion. So due to that condition, that is not beautiful. Whenever we encounter this nature arises in our mind, if we want to identify or differentiate two of them, and we need to focus their underlying condition. So this is not, the standing in any side, like being neutral. So when we become in that situation, we just need to focus. This becomes because of lack of my kindness toward the others, or lack of the compassionate feeling toward the other, compassionate condition toward the others. If it is that, so that is cold and heartless. And also not for that case, just with the beautiful, how to say it? So we are doing something good. Okay, for example, we are doing something good, offering to the, making donation. So at that moment, so if we give away our property, later we cannot use for the other people's needs. But just now we are doing. So in this action, the Tatra Majjhatthata will arise. In performing the donation action. So that is different from the cold and heartless, because we are doing good, making beautiful things. And sometimes, if we have something to share, but we don't share, because our mind is in the condition of cold and heartless. At that time, we don't give. So two of them will be different. The Tatra Majjhatthata and then cold and heartless condition. So easy way is just need to aware the condition should not be lack of the kindness and compassion. If it is due to the lack of the kindness, that may be the cold and heartless, not Tatra Majjhatthata.
So the second question is, Buddha teaches many kinds of upekkha. Could Bhante explain them briefly?
Here, the upekkhas are 10 kinds. So the 10 kinds, we will discuss this in the last chapter of the Abhidhamma Sangaha. But here, the upekkha, Vedanupekha, so that is reference to the feeling. That is the one of the upekkha. It is feeling. But here, Tatra Majjhatthupekha, so being neutral, but not feeling, not Vedana. This is Tattara Majatupika, one of the work of beautiful manifestos. And Janupika, Sankharupika, like this, there will be another types of upika also. Sankharupika is the work of the wisdom, jnana. So inside knowledge, when the inside knowledge work properly on the conditioned phenomena, understanding they are in this way, and then not much paying attention on their nature, but focusing on the nature of impermanence, non-self, and suffering in that way. That is Sankharupika. So that is the high inside knowledge. So this is the brief explanation about the upeka. Just introduction. We will study them in the last chapter. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Bhante. Then the third question is, right action, samma kammanta, included abstinence from killing, stealing, and sexual misconduct. Why is the fifth precept, abstinence from intoxicant, not included here?
Yes, the commentary explanation come in this way. The intoxication, the intoxication is included under the misconducts. So actually the third one, kamesumichachara. But here emphasize the sexual misconduct as the very obvious wrongdoing. So I think that focus on that, the right action. So this is wrong action is the killing, etc. So not sometimes the intoxication is not considered. So drinking alcohol, sometimes it is not considered as a wrong action in many cases. But for the precept, it is one of the breaking one of the precept. But because the sexual misconduct is very obvious, that is why the right action directly connected to the sexual misconduct, etc. But the intoxication also consider one of the breaking the moral precept. But the commentary explain the kamitsumicchasara. Here, the translation is sexual misconduct, but the Pali word is kamitsumicchachara. So intoxication can be understood under the kamitsumicchachara. So misuse. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Bhante. Then the fourth question is, right livelihood, samma ajiva, include abstinence from wrong livelihood such as animals for slaughter. Does this refer only to living animals? How about selling meat or fishes, etc.? Will this indirectly link to the slaughter of animals?
But this question is very good, but not easy to say in one way. So for example, if we are selling meat, getting the resource is slaughtering. So the meat we are selling, if we are doing that, we are selling is come from the slaughtering, killing. That also considered as a wrong trade, wrong way of trading, as a wrong livelihood. So if someone, just get the meat from the animal, that animal, not making any effort. So that is not considered. So for example, if you go in the forest and then you found the dead body of the animals, and then you think this is, this is useful to cook, to make a curry, and then you bring, and then you sell. That moment is not related to any slaughtering, just the dead body and just a food. So focusing on this is a food. It is not considered as a round livelihood. But here in this case, if we, because if we are doing the round action related to the livelihood, something is bubble or bodily action, they are considered as some micha ajiva, so round livelihood. That is why my understanding is that if not related to the slaughtering or killing, it's okay, but it is not a round livelihood. But if related, so we order to sell again, so that is also round livelihood. For the Buddhist, it's just the Buddha said, these five types of trading should not do. So in this way, we regard this as round livelihood, but the Buddha didn't say that is round livelihood directly.
Thank you, Bhante. So we move on to the last prepared question from student. Whenever someone is doing wholesome action, but the mind may be with hypocrisy and crookedness, that means without uprightness mind, will it still be wholesome?
Mm-hmm. So, okay, so these 19, the uprightness of the mind, uprightness is included the past group. That is the universal, beautiful mental factors. That is why whenever the beautiful consciousness arises, the uprightness must be there. So the person cannot perform the wholesome action without the uprightness. It means with the hypocrisy or crookedness, because they have the opposite nature. That is why, so when the person is doing wholesome action, is really wholesome action, there must be the uprightness. So without the uprightness, one cannot perform the wholesome action. But in the process, making donation for food or something, doing that is take longer duration, very long duration compared to the moment of the consciousness. That is why it can change. So when the uprightness is present, we can say that is still wholesome. And when the uprightness lost, at the moment is no more wholesome. It changed to the unwholesome. That is why they are not coming together, uprightness and crookedness.
Okay.
But the person cannot perform wholesome with the crookedness. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Bhante. Is it possible to cultivate the 6 pairs of universal beautiful factors in our daily life?
Yes, of course. Just keeping the good nature. So that's just keeping the good nature. Just trying to calm down ourselves, not to be restless all the time, like this, and also to be upright. So in this case, in this way, we can practice all the time, not specially practicing, just trying to be good ourselves. So trying to get ready to perform any good deeds, and trying to be softness. This means there not to be so proud, not to be so cling to the wrong view, etc. In this way, we can practice in daily life the beautiful mental quality to be a beautiful person. So to be a beautiful minded person. So we can practice, of course.
Thank you, Bhante. Dear Bhante, please explain in more detail about mudita, appreciative joy, fails when it produces merriment. Is there an example?
Okay, so about the mudita. Okay, about the merriment. So okay, let's see that when one is developing the appreciated joy to others' success. Just that he is being joyful for others, not related to oneself. So if we develop that appreciated joy in this way, then we come closer to that person or the personal feeling. I'm like him or like this. So because he is our side or he is our leader or like this in that way. And at that time, we feel joyful feeling and also enjoying that success as our own. So because he is our own side, our side, so we feel his success related to us. At that moment, the joyful feeling come to center ourselves. That is merriment. It's not in the level of appreciated joy. So in the level of appreciated joy, we just keep the joyful acceptance toward the other's success. This is his success, not related to us in any way. So for example, if you are happy for your children's success, it is mostly is not clear as a appreciated joy. It come to the merriment because he is the success is related to yourself. Then if you appreciate and with joyful feeling to other children's success, not related to you, that is clear, that appreciated joy. In this way, the appreciated joy can change to merriment if we relate that success to ourselves. So when come to the merriment, it feel no more appreciated joy because it changed to the attachment, to the side of the attachment which caused by the lobha, self-centering. Okay, I think it's
yes, sir. Okay, thank you, Bhante. So the second question we received from Dhamma friend Isa Ria. So the question is, as we know, today the scientists are using animals to test the medicine to find the cure of human diseases. Example given, COVID-19 vaccine. This testing process would kill the animals. Although the purpose is for good cause, which is to cure human being, is it considered unwholesome action? Would Bhante please explain this and how we can keep our view on this? Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Okay, it's a very practical question here. Yes, that is true. In actual situation that happened. So let's consider the one by one, the part by parts. Okay, at the beginning, the scientists, they have the intention to have the human beings to protect from the disease such as the COVID-19, etc. Then that attitude is good because is with the intention of the compassion and loving kindness. That is good. Then later, when they are doing or making blessings, at that moment, they encounter that kind of situation, or killing animal or testing like this. That action, in this case, that becomes different. So not curing to the animals, that is torturing, or want to say that the animal also have their rights, but ignoring their rights. So doing something harmful to them. that is unwholesome. Even though that is basically based on the wholesome attitude in the action, the unwholesome can arise. That is why whatever harmful action towards the animal or human, everything can be considered as unwholesome. So they have the different nature, but they can come in the long process, come together in the longer process. So making blessings, and at that time, a wholesome part, unwholesome part. This is our life, our nature, missing wholesome and unwholesome. So changing one to the others. So just try to keep oneself in the wholesome side. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Bhante. So, Bhante, thank you very much for your teaching today. May Bhante lead us in making aspiration and sharing of merit, please.
Let's make our aspiration and sharing merits for our wholesome deeds of Abhidhamma study today. So please repeat after me. Imina punya kamena.
Imina punya kamena.
Mami bala samagamo.
Mame bala samagamo.
Saddam samagamo hodu.
Satam samagamo hotu.
Yawa nibbana patiya.
Yawa nibbana patiya.
Idami punyam.
Idam me punyam.
Asawakaya vaham hodu.
Asawakaya vaham hotu.
Idami punyam.
Idam me punyam.
Nibbana sapachayo hodu.
Nibbana sapachayo hotu.
Mama punya bhagam.
Mama punya bhagam.
Sabha sattanam bhajemi.
Sabha sattanam bhajemi.
Te sabbe.
Te sabbe.
Me samam.
Me samam.
Punya bhagam labandu.
Punya bhagam labantu.
Sadhu.
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 Sadhu. Sadhu. Thank you, Bhante, and everyone for your time and participation. Till we meet on next Sunday, may all be well and happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu.
Thank you, Bhante.